What's up, guys? So I just got done watching episode 16 of Akame Got Killed, and a whole bunch of stuff happened. We start where we last left off with the Night Raid facing off against Akame's sister and the Gimp. At this point, Wave is still knocked out somewhere, and Akame's sister still has the big skeleton Danger Beast guy. So pretty much right off the bat, the Danger Beast Kamehamehas the entire Night Raid, but everybody dodges. Meanwhile, Akame, almost without thinking, goes right after her sister, and the two get into it. But what she doesn't realize is that all the shadows that she had raised from the last episode have taken form, so Akame's sister kind of has a bodyguard. It's some guy with white hair who apparently was Akame's little sister's friend when they were younger, so he must have died at some point, and I'm sure there's a story to that, but anyways, it really throws Akame off her game and she almost loses. But Tatsumi rushes in to save the day, and he's all like, hey, you know, what's going on with you? You're rushing in haphazardly, this isn't like you at all, what's going on? And Akame's like, yeah, you're right, my bad, thanks for saving me, and they all regroup. Now, somewhere around this point, we go to the forest where we see Strings setting up a bunch of strings, which I'm assuming is some kind of trap, and Chelsea's just eating a lollipop, just walking around as far as I can tell. Anyways, back at the plot, we see Akame's sister's shadows, the ones she had raised in the last episode, all have taken form. The first one is the white-haired bodyguard, the second one is some assassin dude in a red mask who I guess used to be one of the natives that Esdeath had killed, so he was a really powerful native that Akame's sister had killed, and somehow she can now raise him. I think that's how her power works. She kills him, then she can raise him. That's how her sword works. Anyways, the third one is a blonde girl with two guns. I guess she's a warrior from the north, and then the fourth one is a bodyguard in a white suit. And the fifth one is a red-haired guy with the whip, and he and the Bionic Commando have a past. Apparently they were both generals in Esdeath's army, but when she left, I guess he decided to leave as well, but he got caught and killed, and now he's a zombie essentially. Oh, and there's a gorilla. Just a gorilla. And I'm pretty sure that's all of them, but I could be wrong, but either way, a battle royale starts. We have Tatsumi going up against the Red Hood and Gorilla Grodd by himself. We have the Bionic Commando going against the Whip guy, who I'm just gonna go ahead and call Simon Belmont. We have Mine going against the Gunslinger girl, and we have Akame and Boobs going against the Gimp and the Bodyguard. All the fights are pretty interesting and even-handed, and while this is all going on, Akame's sister, along with her bodyguard, are just chilling on a rock watching everything. A little disclaimer before we continue, a lot of stuff happened in these fights, so I'm only gonna focus on the things I found most interesting or important. Okay, so while Tatsumi is fighting the gorilla and the native, he's not exactly getting his ass kicked, but he can't really hurt them because they're entirely too fast and there's two of them. So while he's fighting, a native comes out of the forest and faces off against the zombie native that he's fighting. And the zombie native kind of starts freaking out, oh my god, you're part of my clan and stuff like that. Then, the native from the forest takes out a needle and stabs him in the head, and he goes down. It turns out that the native from the forest was Chelsea the whole time, because, you know, shapeshifter. So apparently that takes him out, and Tatsumi focuses on the gorilla and wrecks his ass. Then afterwards, Chelsea's walking into the forest, and you can tell she likes Tatsumi, so instead of Akame Got Killed, I might start calling this series Tatsumi's Harem. Shoot over to Boobs and Akame, and they're fighting off the Gimp and the bodyguard guy, and before they can really even get started, Akame's sister, I guess, gets bored, jumps down and cuts off Boobs' arm. Just lops it off. But this doesn't stop Boobs, who flexes so hard she stops the bleeding. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what happened. She flexed so hard, she stopped the bleeding in her arm. Back over with the Bionic Commando, she can't really keep up with the whip, so she uses her Bionic Commando arm to kind of grab things and shoot across. She's Spider-Man. Spider-Man's everywhere, and then eventually catches up to the guy and kicks his head off, but it doesn't stop it, because apparently in this world, these zombies can survive without their heads, and they have to be cut up or beat up in a way so that they can no longer move, which she does. Back over to Mine, I don't really remember her fight, but as far as I know, she kind of just destroys her enemy a lot easier, and then Akame's sister shows up and she's like, oh, I got one more, and it's a big ass frog whose stomach acid can tear through anything, and it swoops up Mine with its tongue and just devours her. Back over at the Boobs and Akame fight, the two can't really get in on the Gimp because he has a flamethrower, so he's kind of long range. Well, they aren't long range, so they come up with the plan. The two jump into the air, and Boobs with her good arm grabs Akame and throws her, while the bodyguard guy gets in the way and jumps up. Akame uses her sword and takes out his legs, so he goes tumbling to the side. Then she kind of just passes the Gimp, I guess. After this, her and the Gimp start talking, and apparently they had a past. I guess they were both sort of in Esdeath's army, and he's like, you know, why did you leave? Her explanation is that her heart told her to, and that's pretty much it, and he accepts this and is like, okay, well, that's fine, but now I have to kill you and that ideal, so sorry about that, flamethrower. But while this is happening, he's distracted and Boobs comes in from the side with her one good arm ready to strike. But yet again, the bodyguard isn't done, and it turns out he had some kind of lance thing in his arm that he shoots over at Boobs, and it goes through her arm and takes it out so she can't swipe at the Gimp. The Gimp sees this, turns on this flamethrower, and is about to strike when Boobs bites the flamethrower in half. She bites a metal Imperial arm in half. Anyways, Akame goes in for the kill when the Gimp realizes, you know what, I can't defeat them, so he takes his big canister of gas that he has on his back, throws it up and creates a nuclear explosion. Back over at mine, Tatsumi shows up and he's about to face off against Akame's little sister's bodyguard guy, the childhood friend, when Mine blasts her way out of the frog. Apparently she had shot like holes in its stomach to drain out the acid so it wouldn't get her, and then she explodes it and she's like, oh, thanks for the help, Tatsumi. Then we go back over to the Bionic Commando and the human Imperial arms, and he's still facing off against the big skeleton when she's like, you know what, this thing's too powerful, I know you're really strong, but use your final form. So the Imperial Arms guy is like, are you sure? I can only use it 3 times before you die, which is apparently a thing. I don't really understand how that works, how him using his final form will kill her eventually. That didn't get explained, but apparently it's a thing that'll happen. So she's like, yes, this opponent's too strong, just go ahead and use it. So he kind of hulks out, gets big, gets white hair, and has like a big ring around him. He kind of looks like a really beefy version of Kaneki mixed with the Devil from Devil as a Part-Timer when he devils out. And he also has a ring around him. So he, I don't know, he kind of looks like a weird shonen bad guy. Meanwhile, Esdeath and the others are still on the move, and they're like, you know what, I think we might have been tricked when they come across a group of like 100 bandits. Esdeath's like, we're gonna kill all of you except for 3, we're gonna keep you alive, and we're gonna question you, and that scene kind of just cuts off. We shoot over to Wave, who somehow is just waking up, and he's like, oh man, if I hadn't have activated my Incursio style armor at the last second, I would have died. And now that I'm kind of remembering the order of things a little bit better, I realized that the Gimp, when he threw that thing up and exploded, that was like the last thing that happened. All this other stuff happened beforehand. There's an order, but it's so jumbled that I couldn't really remember it correctly, but yeah, that's how our episode ends. He throws up the canister, it explodes, looks like a nuke, and maybe people are dead, who knows. So, on to my thoughts about the episode. Honestly, I kinda liked it. While the animation wasn't exactly the most groundbreaking or fluid, it was entertaining to watch the fights, and we did get a little bit more exposure to some characters who probably wouldn't have much. Like, for instance, the Gimp. Now, at this point, I'm about 2/3 of the way done with the series, and thus far, not a lot has really been established. I mean, they haven't gone a long ways in terms of plot or development, but I feel like this episode sort of started to rectify that. For instance, we do get some background on Akame and her sister, what with the guy that is basically her bodyguard. And then we also get some background on the Bionic Commando with her fight with the whip guy, and a little bit on the Gimp and what's going on with him and Akame. So I mean, we do get a lot of backstory, and a lot of cool things did happen. But at the same time, a lot of things happened that didn't really make any sense. Like what happened after Boobs got her arm cut off and then she kind of flexed away the pain. Like, even in shows that are so over the top that they're clearly unbelievable, like for instance, oh, I don't know, Dragon Ball Z, pain still affects people. Like, Tien got his arm cut off in like the first season and he was like, oh my god, my arm. But she gets her arm cut off and she's like, no problem. I'm just gonna flex real hard and this'll go away. So I mean, yeah, I understand she's in her cat form and it gives her added power and stuff, but there still has to be some kind of effect. Like, she has to show that she's in pain, not just shock. Pain. There's a difference. And then there's the fact that when Chelsea showed up to the assassin guy, like disguised as a native, he saw something in that. He was like, oh my god, it's a native, and he had a reaction, which is something that zombies generally don't do. And if they want to do that in this show, that's fine. They explained it. She goes on to explain, oh yeah, she can reanimate the dead, but some of their memories and stuff remain, and okay, they explained it, that's fine. But then, why wouldn't the same thing happen when the Bionic Commando General girl was fighting her ex-general friend? You would think there would be something residual there, but there wasn't. It's like they're trying to have it both ways. They're trying to say, oh no, these things are just meat puppets that are doing her bidding, but also they have emotions. You can't go both ways. Like, it's either one or the other. Either they're just meat puppets or they still have some emotion. Like, come on. And then there's the fact that after the frog ate mine, she killed it and came out, and just her clothes were like messed up and tattered. And I feel like they did that just for fan service. I mean, Akame's sister says straight up, this thing's stomach acid can eat through anything. I understand mine has an Imperial arms and it might make her a little bit tougher, maybe, that really hasn't been explained. But the fact of the matter is that this thing, the stomach corrosion acid, is eating away her, like, clothes. There's no reason that she wouldn't be at least a little bit fucked up. Like, something like skin missing, I don't know, something. She'd be messed up. Something bad would have happened to her, but nothing happened. And I mean, that's just lazy. That's lazy. It's really what it is. They're like, oh, we want to just show some skin without showing any like debilitating problems that the stomach acid would have caused. I understand she made it drain by shooting the frog, but if it got on her clothes and it burnt them up, there's no reason she wouldn't be a little bit messed up. That's just facts. And then there's the weird inconsistencies where some of the zombie people went down really easily and others didn't. And I mean, can we get something straight? Can you guys like set some kind of rules in this thing, so I understand what is possible and what can happen, because right now, it's just like a fun house. It's just like, oh, this is happening, everything is an ass pool. Like, there's no strict rules for anything, and that is really, really frustrating when watching this. But like I said, the episode was entertaining. It did give some plot progression and backstory, so I mean, finally, we're heading towards the right direction. I have no hope for the story, no hope for the characters. I don't care who lives and who dies, none of this matters. I just want to see some fighting, and finally they're delivering it. In a show called Akame Got Kill, finally we're getting some fighting, and I'm hoping that in the next episode somebody dies. From what I understand, outside of the corpses, nobody died in this episode, but they're corpses, so really, nobody died in this episode. So hopefully, next episode, that's fixed. Anyways, guys, let me know what you thought about this episode in the comments below, and if I missed anything or misinterpreted anything. I mean, I haven't read the manga, so I mean, I don't care what the manga has to say. I'm going directly off the anime. So if I missed something in the anime that they explained, and you guys can explain it to me, let me know in the comments below. Peace.